Hello and welcome to our Rainbow Loom bracelet making class. Today I have to do a project for school, so I chose to do Rainbow Loom bracelets. And I have some family members here to help me out today. My brother-in-law is on video, so thank you for being here. The learner objective today is to create a bracelet like this. It's called a Fishtail bracelet. So you can do a pattern of 2 colors typically. This one I did pretty fast, so it's kind of twisted up. So when you're putting your rubber bands on your actual loom, pay attention to how you're putting them on there. And I kind of did an informal survey prior to starting the class and found that I have 3 inexperienced learners, so meaning they have never made one of these bracelets, and then actually my nephew, who is here to help us today, has made quite a few different bracelets, so he's actually our experienced learner. So I have decided that we're going to start out with a more simple bracelet today based on the experience of our students. So we will go ahead and get started, and what you need to make a rainbow bracelet is a loom. You can get these at, I got mine at Amazon.com. A hook, your rubber bands, and we have an assortment of rubber bands here, and then your C or S clips, and that's to connect them together at the end when you're done. So first of all, with your loom, I'm going to take the center loom thing out just because it's easier for me, and we don't need the center one for the purpose of this bracelet. We are actually going to be transferring one row to another row, and I'm going to do that 3 times. This says 3 rows, so if you've got a larger wrist, like you, Paul, you're probably going to want to do 4 rows, okay? The other thing to keep in mind with the loom is that when you start out, you're going to want the arrow facing away from you. If you do not have an arrow, take a look. I call these the horseshoe. You want the opening of the horseshoe facing away from you, and that will be important as we move forward, because once we start looping the bracelet, we're going to actually turn the loom around. So we're going to start out by actually making a figure 8 with the first color. Everybody has chosen 2 colors here at the table. Actually, Travis has 3, so does Jenny. So that's great, or do you have just 2? Okay. So what you're going to want to do is make a figure 8 with your first rubber band, so it actually doubles it up. Okay, and then I kind of turn this to the side. I've already got one on here, so I'm actually going to do this one. So you double it up, putting the first on the first horseshoe, for lack of a better word, and then looping it to the second one. And then I'll take my second color, figure 8 it again, and then put it on top of the second one to the third one. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way to the end. So, is everybody getting that? And so this is where I was talking about, if your rubber bands get a little bit twisty, it's not going to lay as nice or as neat, but for the purpose of our bracelets today, it's alright. These bracelets, I actually got this idea for creating these bracelets from one of my peers at work who was wearing a Starburst bracelet, and I asked her where she got it, and she said her son loves making them. So they actually range from being as simple as the one we're making today into like pretty cool designs, and actually my nephew knows how to do those. So they're pretty cool. I kind of liken them to the friendship bracelets that I made way back in school, except these I think are a little bit, you can be a little bit more creative with them. Once we start nearing the end of the first row, that is when we're going to use our hook. And then when you're to the end as well, that's when you're going to want to turn your loom the opposite way. So Jenny, yep, you can turn your loom the opposite way. Hook. And then you're not going to use the end one, but you're going to take the second horseshoe, so like right here for you, you're going to take that up, you're going to use your hook, and you're going to take it up and over, and then connect it onto the and then as you move forward.
Yes, I mean, but you're starting here though.
Yep, you're starting at the second one.
Like this?
From there.
I'm doing it from this end.
So you start at this one.
Closest to you though.
Okay. Yep.
Oh.
Okay.
And then as you go forward, this is where it gets kind of tricky because you have to use, always take the rubber band that's on the bottom and loop it over. So that's where you're going to use your hook to hook that, and then up and over. So it does require a little bit of finger dexterity. And if you're not, are you having some trouble?
Yeah, I gotta get a different hook.
Need.
This one's been too far.
Are you getting it?
No.
Yeah.
So-
you got a bad hook too.
1 sec.
Before you do anything else with this one, we're going to do is repeat the pattern, but not do the loop back. So just do the figure 8 on this side, keeping in mind that you're going to face your arrow away from you or the opening of the horseshoes away from you. And then do the same pattern on this side with just the figure 8, so just doubling it up. We're seeing here, it helps to have a nicer hook, because if you have one of those smaller ones, it's a little bit more difficult to get the rubber bands looped over. So now, yep, you have to make sure your arrow is pointing forward like it is. So now you just do the figure 8, the same pattern, but don't do the fishtail yet. It does take a little bit to get, yeah, and if you get snapped by your rubber band, it does not feel very good. So that, keeping in mind when we actually take these off the loom, to go kind of slow and not so fast, because otherwise you might snap yourself. Now we all have one that is double looped like this, and then we have just the regular, fishtailed like this, and then the double looped like this. So what you're going to do with the one that you have fishtailed is actually take the long end, yep, and take that off, and then you can pull it off your loom.
Fishtail one?
Yep.
From which
Starting with the long end side. And then when you get to the very last one, don't pull the last one off. You want to get your hook. So yep, Jenny, leave the very last one that's hooked on, and then you're going to take your hook and grab the very last one. Then you're going to transfer it over this one. Except I think I just
Uh-oh. Got this.
Doesn't matter which end.
yeah, you have to have the end.
Arrow side or opposite?
So you took it off of there, so now you're going to do this side. So put that on here. Yep. And then you're going to do the same thing that you did on the last one. You're going to start with taking the bottom rubber bands right there, and you're going to fishtail it back. Take all the bottom rubber bands and fill up. And this is just, where are you?
I messed mine all up.
So where do we put this part on?
So you have the little end. Is that your long end or your little end?
This is my little end.
So then you're going to put your little end, all of the rubber bands on top of this one.
Oh.
Yep. And then you just leave this tail hanging off, and then you take your bottom rubber bands again, Travis, and then you start looping them forward again, so you're going to fishtail again. So like I said, the one that I made had actually 3 rows of this. So it's just a matter of looping everything together. You guys can see that it does matter where the placement of your rubber bands is. Now you can see I have this much, so what I'm going to do for 3 rows is I'm just going to double the figure 8 on another row. So for you, now you're at where you can start again, making sure that your arrows are facing away from you. Oh, you had that one on. That was extra. Okay, so now you're going to do the figure 8 again, all the way to the end. You can do the more simple bracelet than this, and all you need is like 2 nails or push pins, and you can make a bracelet by that too. So you don't necessarily need the loom, but you do need the loom to make more complicated ones.
So I got my other row done, so now what?
Okay, so now just like we did with the first, you're going to take off your one that's fishtailed.
This
Yep,
one?
at the long end. Yep, and then remember the last loop that you have on the rubber band. You take your hook.
I screwed it up again.
That's okay.
So now I'm just maybe doing a new one, right?
Yep.
Yep, just a new figure 8, and make sure that your arrow's facing away from you. Yep. They are, so like Jenny is noticing that these rubber bands are a little bit difficult to work with sometimes, and they do snap away from you. So when that happens, you either have to figure out where you were with your bracelet, and hopefully you can get those back on there so you can just continue. So now you're at the point where you're going to transfer this to here to make it a little longer. So you're actually going to pull this off. Once you get to the last horseshoe again, you're going to take your loop, get all the rubber bands, and then you're going to connect it, making sure that your loom, the horseshoes are facing you, and then you're going to start fishtailing again. So you're going to hook this side onto the opposite side here on top of those, and then take the bottom rubber bands and start going back again. Hook should go on the end of your row where you have your loom. Your horseshoe should be facing you. The opening should be facing you.
Okay, so I just put it on
And
that
then you
first
hook it
wall?
on the end. Yep.
Okay.
So grab this.
No blood allowed in there. So, do I take this fishtail part off and then put it back on this side?
So you're gonna take this off until you get to the end. Then you're gonna hook the end and put it on this side, on top of this black one, and then you're gonna fishtail it back or loop it back. Okay. Now you could either make another length, because this is 3 lengths, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So for you, you should probably make one more row of just only figure 8s, and then when you're done with that, we'll be able to connect and you can loop again, and then you should have your bracelet done. We'll just use a C or S clip to connect it. So you're ready to pull yours off and connect it with the C clip, so we'll grab a clip, out of there. So actually, if you want to put that C clip on the end of this one, and then slowly pull it off, and then you should be able to connect the other side there.
I use this to hold that when we get to
Mhm.
the clip. Otherwise,
Good.
that's the clip. Just make sure you hook that. Hook.
If you did it right.
I have paint on my hands from the letters I painted.
Did you do 4 rows, Jenny?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so yep, you can do your C clip. Did you put one
I was
on?
watching when you
And then
told
connect,
her.
okay?
And that just goes on there, huh?
Yep. Okay. I think everybody is pretty much done. Well, good job. How did that go for everybody?
Beautiful.
Yay.
A little bit more difficult than it actually seems at first glance. So we ended up with a rainbow fish tail bracelet, loom bracelet. So there you go. Now, do you guys think you can go away from here and make a bracelet like this independently?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Good job, guys, and thank you for being a part of my project.
Thank you.